All right, let's jump right into this. Welcome to today's explainer, where we're going to completely dismantle and then rebuild how you think about the very concept of a home. We're looking at some incredibly fresh, cutting-edge data from the Agile Innovation Process, or AIP, dated May 14, 2026. And I have to tell you, this isn't just about screwing in a few smart light bulbs or adding some green gadgets to a house. No, this is a fundamental reimagining of our living spaces. I am so excited to guide you through this today because we're mapping out a transformation that affects literally all of us. Let's get started.
So, I want to pose a question. Where does your house actually end? For centuries, we've thought of our houses as these static, passive containers. You've got your walls, a roof, a front door, and boom, a very clear boundary. Once you step outside that door, the house ends, right? It's a model that's offered as comfort and security for generations. But as the EAP reports highlight, this old model is really starting to show some severe structural and economic limits. If we keep thinking of buildings as just these passive boxes that only consume resources, we're missing out on an incredible revolution.
Professor Michele Piano actually tackled this head-on with a breakthrough concept called the smart living ecosystem. And the whole idea here is to completely shatter those old boundaries. We're no longer talking about just a house. It's a living, fluid network. The home, the solar energy generation, the electric vehicle parked outside, and even sustainable tourism, they all interact with each other seamlessly. They aren't isolated systems anymore. The building actually transitions from a cost center that just absorbs your resources into an active node that produces, stores, and redistributes energy. It's a total game changer. Now, you might be wondering, how does this actually play out in the real world? Because, let's be honest, we don't just want academic theory here. Well, the physical proof of this concept is a pilot project in Biagio, in the canton of Ticino, Switzerland. And the researchers made a really fascinating choice with this one. They didn't go out and build some ultra-modern glass and steel villa. Nope, they chose a historic two-story stone building with a traditional porch and ancient cellars. Why? Because it's the ultimate stress test. If you can implement a cutting-edge active energy ecosystem in an ancient structure without ruining its historical integrity, then you have absolute proof that this model is scalable to any normal suburban home. The architectural constraint actually becomes the engine of innovation. Think about the old way we upgrade homes, what you might call facility management 1.0. It usually means destructive renovations, right? You smash open historic walls to hide wires and pipes, completely altering the structure permanently. But the agile new way is entirely different. It relies on a core philosophy of reversibility. Instead of hiding the technology away, they put it on display. The whole idea is that in 50 years, you could remove all of this modern tech without leaving a single scratch on that original ancient architecture. It's really a profound form of respect for the building itself. So what does this reversible design actually look like? They use this less is more tech stack, and it is aesthetically stunning. We're talking visible metal pipes with a gorgeous copper effect running along the ceilings, connecting to these really elegant Feller-colorant anthracite sockets. It's kind of like putting a high-tech sole into a vintage dress. It becomes a piece of industrial design. But the real genius here is the mechanics. Initially, you'd probably expect them to use super complex Mitsubishi heat pumps or radiant ceiling panels. Instead, they went with two simple 100-liter direct electric boilers and agile air split systems. Now, you might think, isn't that a step backward? Not at all. By ditching complex hydraulic systems with constant water circulation, they massively reduced maintenance nightmares. If a simple boiler breaks, any plumber can swap it out in 30 minutes. It is extreme simplification engineered for long-term resilience. Of course, all this beautifully simple tech needs power, and that brings us to the pulsing heart of the whole setup, the rooftop photovoltaic system. But the AIP documents reveal something super critical here. This solar setup generates way more electricity than the house actually needs to heat its water or cool its rooms, especially during the summer. So you end up with this massive solar surplus. The question is, if the house is independent and fully powered, where does all that excess energy go? Well, the answer takes us right out the front door and straight into the driveway. Enter the customized Ford E-Transit. No, wait, this isn't your typical brightly painted camper van. The researchers actually call it a stealth configuration. From the outside, it looks like a completely normal delivery van, but inside, oh, it is a highly sophisticated mobile energy system. It's got its own roof-mounted solar panels, a smart energy storage system, a full electric kitchen, air conditioning, and even a smart working platform. And because the whole shebang is fully electric,
You completely bypass the maintenance headaches of an internal combustion engine. There are no belts to snap, no oil to change, no liquids to degrade while it sits parked. And sitting parked is exactly what makes this van so revolutionary. It's all thanks to V2H, or vehicle to home, bidirectional charging. Let's walk through this daily loop because it's fascinating. Step 1. During the day, the sun beats down on the home's rooftop solar panels, generating that massive surplus energy we talked about. Step 2. Instead of just wasting it, the house dumps that surplus directly into the Ford e-Transit's massive battery, which, by the way, has a way bigger capacity than standard home wall batteries. Then, step 3. Night falls. You turn on your oven or your heat pump, and the flow seamlessly inverts. The van actually gives its stored energy back to the house. The van isn't just a vehicle gathering dust out there. It's literally a gigantic active battery powering your living room. So the crucial takeaway here is that the driveway isn't just a slab of concrete anymore. It is an active energy space. But the ecosystem expands way beyond that. The project documents show how the garden can actually host micro-dependencies. Like, if you aren't using the stealth van to travel, you can rent it out right there on your property for slow tourism. Or rent it out as a mobile remote work office with a lake view for digital nomads. Add in the property's wellness areas, and suddenly your home becomes a hub for highly profitable, sustainable luxury micro-hospitality. You are literally creating a brand new microeconomy right in your own backyard. This whole paradigm shift brings us to a brand new definition: Facility Management 5.0. Traditionally, managing a facility meant basically just bleeding money on maintenance, fixing a broken pipe, paying the utility bills, essentially just managing costs. But Facility Management 5.0 is the transition to managing an integrated ecosystem's revenue streams. You're managing energy flows, tourism flows, and workflows. As a homeowner, you go from someone who just pays the bills into the CEO of a micro power plant and a hospitality hub. Your building is no longer a drain on your wallet, it becomes a genuinely productive asset. Let's break down the financial reality here. Traditional ownership is pretty much a pure cost center. You've got high maintenance fees, idle vehicles just depreciating out in the driveway, and totally dead space. The smart living ecosystem flips every single one of those metrics on its head. It turns the home into a productive asset using low-cost reversible tech, V2H mobile batteries, and micro-tourism revenue. Your management costs literally plummet while you create constant new income streams. And here is a massive takeaway if you're interested in real estate or business innovation. Because this model aligns perfectly with ESG, environmental, social, and governance criteria, it sits right at the very top of the priority list for European innovation grants. The funds are out there right now to build exactly this kind of integrated future. To really drive home the urgency of adopting this mindset, Professor Piano uses a striking historical analogy in the reports. He calls it the lesson of Caporetto and the Piave. Now, for anyone who might not be a huge history buff, this refers to Italian military history during World War I. He compares companies and builders who stubbornly cling to rigid, obsolete building models to General Cadorna's disastrous defeat at Caporetto, inflexible leadership that just leads to ruin. On the flip side, those who embrace agile innovation, field testing, and adaptability, they represent the victorious, resilient defensive line of the Piave. If you entrench yourself in old building habits, you're setting yourself up for business disaster. The only way forward is agile innovation. Which brings us to a really profound provocation, straight from the researchers' notes. Think about this. If our vehicle becomes our office, our source of tourism revenue, and the battery that keeps our living room lights on, if our garden hosts micro-units that just connect and disconnect as needed, if the house itself is mobile and energy is entirely fluid, what actually defines the place we belong to? The traditional concepts of borders, property lines, and static addresses are suddenly rendered completely obsolete. It's no longer just a question of bricks and land registries, is it? I'll leave you to explore that thought. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and honestly, I hope you never look at your driveway the same way again. Catch you next time.